The air in the studio was tense, as the lights illuminated the faces of the two men sitting at opposite ends of the table. On one side, Ibrahim Traoré, the strong and unwavering Prime Minister of Burkina Faso, who had earned the respect of the world through his diplomatic prowess and courageous leadership. On the other side, Barron Trump, young, quiet, but unmistakably the son of the most powerful man in America. The cameras zoomed in, and every eye in the room was on them. The studio, polished and pristine, seemed to hold its breath. The moment was surreal. Barron, a figure who had lived his entire life in the shadows of global attention, found himself center stage in a world of truths he had never expected. "You've spent your life watching from the sidelines, Barron." Ibrahim Traoré's voice broke the silence, calm but firm. "But the truth is, there's no escaping the past, not even for you." His words hit harder than a punch. Barron, who had always been told who he was, who he should be, felt a stirring deep within him. Was it possible that his entire existence was built on a lie? Ibrahim leaned forward, his gaze unwavering. "You were born into power, but power isn't everything. The truth, however, is everything." The audience leaned in, breathless. The stage was set, and the shocking revelation was just moments away. Barron Trump had always been at the center of a world where expectations were high, where every move he made was measured by the legacy of his father, Donald Trump. But Barron had never felt like he fit into that world. From a young age, struggled with the weight of being the son of never really having a chance to define himself. He had longed for a sense of autonomy, a life free of the constant judgment and expectation. He had tried to make peace with it, to live his life behind the walls of his family's name. But there was always something missing, a sense of purpose, a sense of self. Sitting across from Ibrahim Traoré, the reality of that missing piece began to surface. For the first time, Barron felt the need to confront the world, not as the son of a president, but as an individual. What was his truth? Was there more to him than the world had ever seen? As the interview began, Barron's thoughts swirled. How could he explain to the world who he truly was, when even he didn't know the answer? The lights, the cameras, the audience, all of it suddenly felt like too much. But then, Ibrahim's voice cut through the noise. "Barron, the man you think you are," Ibrahim began, his eyes locking with Barron's, "isn't the man you were meant to be." Barron's heart raced. He had expected a conversation about global politics, world affairs, maybe even his own role in the Trump legacy. But this was personal. He'd been living a lie. "And today I'm here to reveal the truth." Ibrahim's words hung in the air like a heavy storm cloud. The studio fell completely silent. The tension was so thick, you could practically feel it pressing in on your chest. Barron's grip on the armrests tightened as he braced himself for what was coming. Ibrahim Traoré, known for his boldness and courage in facing difficult truths, wasn't one to shy away from controversy. He took a deep breath before continuing. "You may have thought you knew everything about your family, about your life. But Barron, you've only scratched the surface." Barron blinked, trying to process the weight of those words. What was Ibrahim talking about? Hadn't his life been out there for everyone to see? What secrets could possibly be hidden from him? But before Barron could respond, Ibrahim pulled out a folder from under the tabbouleh, a thick folder filled with documents, letters, and photographs. The weight of it seemed heavy with history. "These documents," Ibrahim began, "are a part of your legacy, but not the one you've been told to believe in." He handed the folder to Barron, whose hands shook as he opened it. His eyes scanned the pages, each one revealing secrets about his family, about deals made long before he was born. He could hardly breathe as he read. There were names he had never heard before, places he had never visited, and events he had no knowledge of. The first page was a letter from a foreign dignitary, written to Barron's father in a time of great political unrest. The letter spoke of a hidden alliance, a deal made in secret to secure political influence. Barron's mind raced. He didn't know this side of his family. He didn't know about these covert connections, these secretive actions that had been taken in his name. "I know this is hard to accept," Ibrahim said. his voice calm but firm. "But this is who you are, Barron. This is your truth." For a moment, Barron could not speak. His entire world seemed to tilt on its axis. Everything he had ever known, the life he had been taught to live, the persona he had been told to adopt was suddenly called into question. Can you imagine the shock? The gut-wrenching feeling of being forced to face a truth you've never known, never asked for? Ibrahim sat back, letting the silence stretch for a few moments. Then slowly, he spoke again, softer now. "I know this isn't easy. I know it's a lot to process. But understand this, what matters now is who you choose to be. The past is behind you, Barron. But you have the power to shape your future." Barron stared at the folder, the weight of the secrets pulling him deeper into his thoughts. Could he really step out of his father's shadow? Could he rewrite his own story, his own legacy, despite the revelations that had just been thrust upon him? In that moment, Barron understood something profound. His identity was not written by others. It was not defined by his last name or the expectations of those around him. He could create his own path, independent of the secrets that had been exposed. "I don't know what to do with all of this," Barron finally said, his voice barely a whisper, "but I know one thing: I can't let it define me. I have to find my own way." The months that followed were nothing short of transformative. Barron by mulling over the revelations about his family. He used the information not to tear down those who had wronged him, but to build something better for himself and for others. His first act of kindness came unexpectedly. Barron reached out to the people who had worked tirelessly behind the scenes, the ones who had been there for his family, for his father, and for him. These were the unsung heroes, those who had kept the wheels turning without ever expecting recognition. Barron wrote personal letters to each of them, thanking them for their loyalty, for their hard work. He invited them to sit with him, to share their stories, to be seen and heard. It wasn't much, but it was a start. And for the first time in his life, Barron felt a sense of fulfillment that had nothing to do with fame, power, or legacy. One particular act of kindness would stay with him forever. Barron, along with Ibrahim Traoré, visited a small village in Burkina Faso where poverty had taken a devastating toll. There he saw firsthand the struggles of people who had never known the comfort he had grown up with. As they walked through the village, Barron noticed a group of children playing with a makeshift ball, something as simple as a rubber tire. He was moved by their resilience, their ability to find joy in the most difficult of circumstances. Without thinking, Barron pulled out a wad of cash and handed it to a local teacher, asking her to use it to help the children. It wasn't just about the money, it was about acknowledging their strength, their dignity, and their right to a better future. The story didn't end there. Barron Trump, once just the son of a powerful man, was now a man in his own right, one who understood the value of truth, kindness, and self-determination. Barron continued his work with Ibrahim Traoré, not as a mere figurehead, but as a true force for change. Together, they worked to expose the truth behind political corruption, to stand up for those who had been silenced, and to make the world a better place. "I think we've finally done it," Barron said, after a long day of planning. "We've created something real, something that matters."